stage because I've got the one and only Rashad, but I'm going to let him introduce himself. So, hello, Your Excellency.
Oh, my gosh. Hey, I receive it, you know. It's something that you have to get used to, you know, by right.
Yes.
You can't say that, you know, you don't say bow to me, bow to me, bow to me, but by right, if somebody wants to do it, sometimes you have to accept your greatness.
Right.
Yeah.
So tell us a little about you, your name, where you came from, how long you been in Ghana, all of that good stuff.
Okay. My name is Rashad McCrorey. I'm from Harlem, New York City.
Harlem? Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I'm what people may call a foundational Black American. I'm born and raised in New York City. My parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents have all been traced back to South Carolina. As of yet, I have not done any DNA tests. You know, maybe one day I'll do it. But I'm Black American, born and raised in the United States. 5 generations from the United States to the 1800s we can trace. And I've been living in Ghana 3 years now. I've always been raised to appreciate Mother Africa, to appreciate Black empowerment. My father, at the age of 5 years old, started teaching me about the great kings and queens of Africa. Started teaching me about ancient Kemet, which is modern day Egypt, Ptah-hotep, the 7 books of wise instructions at a young age. I shared a story how I remember my favorite baseball team won the championship when I was 6 years old. Oh, wow. We lived in our new apartment, but I remember my lessons starting in our old apartment. Okay. That's how I know that I was at least 5 years old, you know, at the, the latest. Yeah. At the latest. So my father always taught me about honoring the ancestors. Some people call it ancestral worship. Some people call it honoring the ancestors.
So which one do you do? Both.
To me, I don't really, I don't really, I don't really differentiate between the two, but a lot of people do. So for the people who differentiate, you can choose which one you like the best. So, I was 5 years old, 6 years old, pouring libations, setting out food for ancestors. Yeah, being in Black America. My father and my mother, they met in New York City, but they are both from South Carolina. Okay. They met in New York City in 1965 during the later years of the Harlem Renaissance. Okay. So my father was born and raised Christian, but when he moved to Harlem, he started listening to Malcolm X, speakers like Ivan Van Sertima, going to places like 145th and Convent Avenue for some of my elders who know those places, 125th Street in Harlem. And then that's when he started learning about Black empowerment, learning to appreciate Africa, that Africa is not what you see on television. Yeah, 100%. It's places with livelihood. He used to tell me about people who used to go to Africa and disappear. Not disappear because they was kidnapped, disappear because they went there and they was like, I ain't coming back. I like that. As early as the 60s and 70s. Okay. So I always had a real passion for Africa as a continent, let alone individual countries within the continent.
Are you considering a move to Africa but don't know where to start? Look no further. Repatriation, Tips and Strategies for Moving to the African Continent is an Amazon #1 best-selling book and ideal for anyone seeking a successful transition back to Africa. With over 15 chapters and 380 pages of invaluable advice, this comprehensive guide covers everything from selecting the right country, attaining dual citizenship, and viable ideas for financial freedom. Join the Back to Africa movement and get your copy today at www.africacrossculture.com or Amazon.
Okay, I'm so intrigued. We need to circle back to pouring libation when you were 5 years old. What was that like for you? I guess, was it like a norm, as in this is what we do in our home? Or did you really at that time had a proper understanding of what it was that you were doing? My father gave me a proper understanding of what I was doing. He was, he was talking about the ancestors, the people who deceased, the unseen spirit. I'm 5 years old. I used to be scared of horror movies back then, but I used to think of it like my imaginary friends, my secret protectors. I'm a child with an imagination. So when my father used to say, okay, now you set a little bit outside, a little plate of food outside for the ancestors, we used to set a little plate outside, and my mom used to come later and put it back in the pots and things like that. Okay. But generally speaking, when he used to play the music for me, I was a kid, I used to have, for Americans out there, remember the little Tyco radios and, children, Tyco had
had like motorcycles, bicycles for children, you know, things like that, little radios with microphones,
Oh, wow.
So I used to have the little Tyco speaker, and I used to have the tape deck, and I used to play my father music. He used to have books. My father was a real. I'll send you some, maybe if I can, maybe I'll send you some B-rolls of my father in his later life.
That would be amazing, 100%.
Yeah.
So now let's fast forward. At what age, well, I don't know if you want to say your age, but you've come back to Ghana like how many years after, and you've come for your first time. What was that experience like?
My first trip was 2015. I'm 43 years old.
Right.
I mean, I'm cool with that. I was 35 years old, I believe. Yeah, I think I was 35, maybe 34, depending on my birthday.
Right.
So 2015. My first trip to the African continent was Ghana. It was supposed to be Cameroon. However, the Ebola outbreak of 2014 happened, so I came with the school. They wanted to cancel the entire trip to Cameroon, to all of Africa, excuse me, to all of Africa. So the course was called the Cross Culture course. Hence my company, Africa Cross Culture. I just named it after the course that took me to my first trip to Africa. And they said, well, since Cameroon has Ebola, they wanted to take out all of the African countries. They was like, how about South Korea? How about El Salvador? How about Jamaica? Jamaica was a Caribbean island, but we still said no. How about Montana to learn about Native Americans? Montana is a state in the United States. And at that time, I was one of the first people to say, I pulled one of my professors to the side and I said, well, Africa is 54 different countries.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Different traditions, culture, history. Now it's kind of known. Now I get tired of people saying Africa is 54 countries. Like, come on, you know when somebody's saying Africa, and you know when somebody's speaking about a particular country.
Yes, exactly.
You know, now it's not 3 years ago when you did have to differentiate.
100%.
Yeah. So, but back then I was able to say, you know, Africa had 54 different countries. Different culture, different traditions.
100.
And Ghana has been identified as a country with 0 cases of Ebola. It has always been friendly to Black Americans and people returning home. I cited right of abode. There was not year of return or anything in that nature at the time, so I cited right of abode, which was the original kind of year of return thing that goes back, you know, decades, welcoming Black Americans back home. So after signing like 1 million non-liability waiver forms, they allowed us to come to Ghana.
And what was that like?
Amazing. It was just amazing. For the first time, I was able to see Black ownership, Black leadership, Black entrepreneurship, Black vocational for the first time.
Wow.
Again, I'm from Harlem, New York, and it's only gotten worse since, you know, as the years have gone by. When I go outside my Harlem apartment, which I still have, I see the Chinese stores owned by the Chinese. I see the 99-cent stores owned by the Indians, like the Indians from India. You know, white people own the, you know, the supermarkets. Latinos and the Yemenis, which is Yemenis is from Yemen. Out here, there's a lot of Black, not Liberians, but
Lebanese.
Lebanese. Out here is Lebanese.
Yeah.
And in the United States and especially Harlem is Yemenis. So the Yemenis own all the corner stores with the Latinos. The only place that Black America has a monopoly on are barbershops where we get our hair cut, churches, you know, and some ladies have nail salons and hair salons, but then you start looking at the dynamics of Koreans having nail salons and even technically Africans having more beauty salons than Black Americans.
Wow.
So coming to Africa for the first time, I was able to see something that I called all Black everything, like Jay-Z said, all Black everything, Black politicians, Black doctors, Black lawyers, Black TV personalities, Black influencers, Black athletes, Black owners, from the chow bars to the business owners. You know, 95, 98, 99% were all, you know, of Black. African descent. Yeah, Black in this case.
And so how did that make you feel?
It was showing me something that I never really, I knew from my teaching and my upbringing and my common sense and just like the way my father shaped my mind, but actually seeing it for the first time. I'd never been to a Caribbean island. So a lot of people say, a lot of people say, oh, you know, if you've been, I see that in Jamaica, I see that in St. Croix, I see that in Trinidad, you know, but I'm foundational Black American. I was never going to Jamaica or Trinidad for carnival, you know, so Ghana was my first experience of an all Black African country.
So then you came now, like that was your first trip. Then you've ended up moving over. So what encouraged your move and when did you move?
So I have a tourism company, Africa Cross Culture, where we organize tours to the African countries of Egypt, Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, Rwanda, Uganda.
I need to go with you to Egypt.
Oh yes, that was actually my second trip to Africa.
Nice.
Was Egypt.
I've been to Egypt, but I want to go again. Like,
okay, yeah. It's wherever you like to go. Yeah. Now be free, talk. Be free. I can interview you too. We can go back and forth. So I was hosting some Americans for 6 March, Ghana's Independence Day, and March March 2020. And that's when the coronavirus pandemic broke out.
Yeah.
And our president at the time, Donald Trump, said to all Americans abroad, come home immediately or risk staying abroad indefinitely.
Oh,
I have
wow.
I've been visiting Ghana for over 5 years. And I've met a lot of great people, had a lot of good business connections. That's why I paid to do honorable business, sign good documents, deal with people of high character, even if it means taking financial losses or doing things that you may not want. We can talk more about that later.
Yeah.
I said, maybe I can stay. Maybe I can figure it out, because my common sense also told me that's a cold weather virus. I'm from New York City. That was ground zero of the pandemic.
Oh, my gosh.
I have asthma. I still don't think the coronavirus actually was like here. Maybe some people had it was here, and then it died out, but I never felt like it was here.
Yeah.
And history is showing that it wasn't here. Like it may, people test positive, but it don't spread.
Yeah.
My opinion, I'm not a doctor. Liability cost. But I said, let me give it a try. So I stayed in Accra for a month. Then I lived in Aburi Gardens for about 3 months.
Yeah.
And then a friend of mine said, oh, come visit me in Elmina for about 2 weeks. I said, cool, I've never been to Elmina. Elmina, another historic town that I would like to talk about, before we end up. And I wound up falling in love with being in Elmina.
Wow.
And I wound up living in Elmina the last 2 years.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about Elmina though. Elmina is beautiful, guys. I think anything from the central to the western region is just, maybe I'm being biased, but I've been telling you guys from the get-go that the best regions in Ghana starts from the west. Then you have the Volta region, then you got the central region, but you tell me your opinion.
I appreciate Elmina because, forgive me for phrasing it this way, but from the European sense, Elmina is actually the most historically significant town in all of West Africa. So again, when I say what I'm about to say, it's from the context of colonialism and European settlement.
Right.
So Elmina is the town where the first schools were built.
Yeah.
Again, we had schools in Africa 20,000, 30,000, 100,000, a million years.
Yes.
But in sense of colonialism, the first schools in West Africa, the first modern day schools were built in Elmina. The first modern day church for Christians, I'm not Christian. The first modern day church was built in Elmina.
Yeah.
The first Christmas was celebrated in Elmina.
Wow.
Ghana's 6 March is Independence Day, and Independence Square is celebrated as the place where Ghana received its independence. But the first ever political rally for independence was held in Elmina in 1947.
Okay.
And then that's not even talking about the first European structure in West Africa was Elmina slave dungeon, the horrifics of the transatlantic slave trade and things of that nature. So just historically speaking, Elmina is the most significant town in all of West Africa. When you consider
West
European
Africa, not even
influence.
just Ghana.
Yeah.
Not just Ghana, West Africa.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's speaking volumes, guys.
With the asterisk of European influence. Yeah.
But then you've come to Elmina now. You settled in Elmina. You've been there for the last 2 years. Yeah. Tell us how you became the chief, the king, the prince.
Chief of tourism.
That's it.
Respect to my Nana Itre Hen.
Chief of tourism.
In my on that hen.
How did that even happen? Because like you legit are, your excellency. This is your majesty over here.
Yeah, it's been a blessing. I always thank the town of Itre, because Itre is actually the first town in Elmina. Going back to facts about Elmina, for anybody from Ghana, University of Cape Coast is on traditionally Elmina land.
Oh, wow.
The government asked Elmina for land to build a university. They built the university on Elmina land. Then they decided to name the university Cape Coast University, and then they redrew the lines to make it Cape Coast.
Wow.
They respectfully pulled the. This is from what I'm being taught from the Elmina.
Okay.
So any dignitaries out there, talk to them and tell them to tell me a different. This is what I'm being taught. But Itre is actually the first town in all of Elmina coming from Accra.
Right.
So when you come from Accra and you go to Elmina, It's a small bridge about maybe about a 2-minute walk. When you start that bridge, you're in Cape Coast, and when you end that bridge, which is about a 2-minute walk, is real short. You know, no more than just a walkway from here. From, you know, I'm showing Drew. You might not be able to see from the end of the kitchen to where the group is here at Africa. Yeah. Ytrae is actually the first town, the doorway to Elmina. You know, when they draw lines, it doesn't matter about what tribe you're from. Sometimes, you know, especially when you talk about Europeans drawing lines and borders, it doesn't matter what town you're from, what you speak, where your family is, they use a landmark like a bridge. Yeah. You know, that's where a lot of tribal wars around the continent actually come from. So that bridge marks the beginning of Elmina, and I was initially installed as the chief of tourism for Ytrae Elmina. However, in addition, the Oman Nana Kojua the Sixth, he took favor on me and actually gave me jurisdiction of tourism over all of Elmina. Wow. He actually, in hand with Ytrae, you know, made sure I got my gazetting. So what I appreciate about my stool, because I know a lot of people, you know, behind the scenes, especially amongst Ghanaians and hierarchies in Ghana, they like to kind of criticize some Black Americans.
A lot of people are like, how can you be Black American? You already said, you know, you're all American, 5th generation in your blood. That you just came not even 5 years and you're a chief.
Well, my situation was a little unique. Ytrae, a lot of people don't like when I share this story, but it's the truth. Ytrae is a town that has many Black American landmarks. Really? They have hotels and they have restaurants that are pillars in the Black American community. But none of the Black Americans who frequent these places ever contributed to the town. Oh, wow. Never contributed to the town, and I'm saying it on camera. With me, I decided to join the family. I paid my monthly dues. I come to the meetings once a month. I paid my monthly funeral dues. I joined the family through our rituals, and I really lived there. I really invest my money there. Not paying anybody off, invest my money there. And commune with the family. Those were really my family. My family is in America. I was really living with the people, so they took me in as a real family member. I have my blue card and everything. And they wanted this, initially it was, we want to honor you as the first Black American to ever really come here and really fully engage. I'm talking about like dozens upon dozens have land, businesses, dating and not marrying a woman. You know what I mean? I'm the first one to really come in and, I'm with you guys.
And do something. That's amazing.
And that's why they wanted to honor me.
But this
Are you considering a move to Africa but don't know where to start? Look no further. Repatriation, Tips and Strategies for Moving to the African Continent is an Amazon #1 best-selling book and ideal for anyone seeking a successful transition back to Africa. With over 15 chapters and 380 pages of invaluable advice, this comprehensive guide covers everything from selecting the right country, attaining dual citizenship, and viable ideas for financial freedom. Join the Back to Africa movement and get your copy today at www.africacrossculture.com or Amazon.
This is good. So now, literally, how did that make you feel? Especially with, maybe I should say, the culture difference. Because now you've come, like you said, you were doing your rituals and stuff in America, but now you've come, are the rituals the same? What are you allowed to share some of the stuff that you do? And
you're pretty public,
And in terms of it being a culture shock, did you get a culture shock, or were you like, do you know what, I've been doing this, so this is just more enhanced, or they do it the same?
They, when you shed blood, whether it's chicken, goats, you know, sheep, bulls, that's another, you know, that's another level. But I've always been a spiritual person again. I like candles. I pray, I meditate, I fast. I pour libations. I do things in honor of my ancestors. I have a prayer area in my house. I have a shrine in my house, you know, where I have, you know, pictures of my deceased relatives. My father passed away in 2019. So that's kind of what I rely on. So it was a blessing to know that in the spiritual sense, and even amongst the camaraderie, that I was accepted. But I also appreciate the fact that they also went the extra yard to make sure my paperwork
Oh, they did that
It's
for
official.
you.
I have official paperwork. You can go to the Regional House of Chiefs and find my Gazette.
He is official, guys. It's no fake stuff. It's not just a name. Like, he's out here doing his thing, doing his job as well. So when you bring people over from the States, or when people come over, where are some of the things that you show them? Because I know
I'm sure you have many guests talk about those.
I've seen, but I want to know where you take them, because you're clearly on a different level. It's not, oh, just come see the castle and then go to Kakum. No, you're doing, like, you know, where you guys did the last bath, and you're showing them a deeper. This is actually what our ancestors went through. This is their journey, and some people are walking their journey with them, and you're leading that.
What I would like to say is that Ghanaian tour operators, Ghanaian tour guides, and even now Black Americans and diaspora tour people who are seasoned are doing an amazing job at showing not only the prime tourist attractions, but also the lesser known places. Like you mentioned Antamanto Slave River. There's plenty of tour guides and tour operators who take their people to Antamanto Slave River. One of the advantages that I still think I have over a lot of people maybe in terms of logistics and relationships. You know,
and relationships are necessary, especially in Ghana.
Relationships and logistics. So, like when you talk about the Western region, you know, I know to go out to Bourgeois Beach. I know to go to Asabako Festival. I know to go to Inzulinzu. You know, I know to go to the different ports. You know, so maybe the normal person who's the normal tour operator and tour guide who bring people to Accra or Ghana for 7 days, they don't really go past Cape Coast Slave Castle. Or they take people to Cape Coast Slave Castle and not Elmina. Because Cape Coast is not indigenous like Elmina. Cape Coast, the merchants come from different places in Centurition, like Ifutu, like Makasim, and then they Ogwaman, and then they came as merchant. That's why Cape Coast people are such better business people than Elmina people. That's why they make so much better business deals. So even though Elmina is the largest, the oldest, and the most historically significant and the more spiritually valuable, where you get a little bit more spiritual and prophecy from visiting Elmina, most people go to Cape Coast because more people are from Cape Coast. Cape Coast is bigger, and Cape Coast is, you know, UCC. You know, you see everything from Cape Coast everywhere. Cape Coast is the former capital. So there may be just little things like that. Advantage I have over people is like some of the things you said earlier today. I love Africa first. I'm Black empowerment first. I'm not a tour operator who didn't care about touring. I was taking people to Paris or Australia or anywhere white you see. And then it's like, oh yeah, return. Black people going to Africa. It's money there. Oh, I want to help people to find their roots. That's not me.
No.
That's not me. You know.
Let me just keep it at that. Thank you.
I'm extreme. Like, now people don't have to be extreme like me. I only do tours to Africa.
That's it. Well, that's
extreme.
And this is what I guess you know Roots is all about. Even Drew doing Travel with Drew, showcasing the beautiful things that there are in Africa. You can get the same things in the Western world. You can actually get them in different spaces in Africa, not only Ghana, but there are so many other countries in Africa that you can go and see. And there is beauty here. This truly is the motherland. So now, I mean, Rashad, you know, we've been talking a lot. We can talk for ages. But talk to me a little bit about your journey. How would you actually rate your journey of being Black American, moving to Ghana from the beginning to now? How would you rate that, let's say, like on a scale of 10, and elaborate a little bit?
I'm very hard on myself. I'm very difficult myself. I have a fire, I have a drive that I just always want more, and I want to do better. I just want to take it to the next level. Sometimes I gotta tell myself to relax. You know, me, sometimes I lay at night and I have to say, Rashad, you are doing amazing. You know, you are. You know, you really accomplished a lot in a short amount of time, ethically, rightfully, you know, and you're doing your best. You've come a long way, you've matured. You're getting a level of understanding. So just take a minute and accept what you've done. So in that case, I would say 10.
10, okay.
But I still have, in my heart and my passion, I know there's still so much more. And you know,
like, what's the goal?
What's the goal today? Like this season, this quarter?
Do you have like an end goal or something that you would like to see, or something that, you know, once you've achieved this, is like, yes, I've completed my assignment. This is my purpose, and I have done it.
I don't want to have that. I don't want to have that feeling.
Okay, that's
yeah,
good.
I want to always just, you know, I want to be a learner, experience till I live.
I like that.
I just finished my, I just published my new book, Repatriation, Tips and Strategies for Families and Individuals Moving to the African Continent.
This is good.
Available now on Amazon.
Come on, put in that plug.
In the description, in the description.
Yeah.
And I'm working on my, and I'm almost finished my e-course, my master's course, the Repatriation Survival Guide.
Okay.
The book is 380 pages. Don't ask me how. I zone out. People are like, you in your house, you don't come out.
That's it.
I be in the zone, I be locked in. 10 chapters of just game. Now, I have bonus chapters of how-tos. How to attain dual citizenship. How to buy a house. How to not get into land disputes.
Yes.
You know, how to get a job, how to start businesses. What countries in Africa that you like to move to. We cover over 12 different countries. But the bulk of the book, which I titled more like the 10 Repatriation Commandments, like 10 rules and strategies I live by. It's more game, it's more tip, it's more strategies. That's more than just how to.
Yeah.
Because there's a wealth of reputable organizations and people that are teaching you how to. You know, but I wanted to give like real game for people who really don't know what to expect when they get here. Let me know if I'm answering your questions or not. Okay, no. So let me finish answering your question as I go into the book. What I said when I really set my mind on, no, Rashad, write this book, finish this book, is because sometimes I see life as like a USB drive or a hard disk.
Yeah.
When it gets filled, or a memory card, when it gets filled up, you can't download any more new information. So I said, Rashad, write a book, do a program, and just get everything out.
That's it.
Get as much as you can out. Just get it on paper and share it. And then trust the ancestors, trust the universe, trust God, that God will open you up to new ideas, new things that you can't see because you're holding so much inside.
There you go.
So, you know, yeah, it's one thing to push a book. If anything, the book is, I think it's chaptered out well and it's laid out well, but it might be too much. It might be too intimidating.
But it depends.
Because,
if you're able to handle it, then you can handle it. So the people that, like you said, sharing is caring. You have you're not those people that are gatekeeping. So you have the information.
And it's hard not to gatekeep.
It is hard not to gatekeep because you can't trust everybody. You really, really can't. But you have put it out there, like you basically, I want to say you've poured out your all. And if you're out there, you are trying to move to Ghana, then clearly this is the book that you need. So before we go.
And it's the African continent. So you can use these tips and strategies.
For everywhere.
If you're in America, I look at Africa as state hopping. United States of America in our 50 states. Ghana is the size of Oregon.
Wow.
Oregon is the 11th largest state in the United States.
Wow.
Kenya is the size of Texas, and Nigeria is obviously a third bigger than Kenya. Is a little bigger than Texas. So Africa is like state hopping to a lot of us. That's how we got to think about it. We may come to one country, but there's nothing wrong with state hopping. You know, you got to do visas and passports.
That's it. You can go to the next one.
Yeah.
You can do it. You can do it. So, okay, now that you're here, like Ghana is your base. Are you going to say that? I mean, you talked about Africa, but are you going to stay in Ghana long term? Do you ever miss going back to the States? Are there things from the States you miss?
I went back to the States last year. I think I went from May to August.
Yeah.
After the first month, I was like, eh. But see, I was only in New York. Maybe if I went to some states I've never been before, that would be different.
You technically went back home, and then it was just like, I'm over it. I'm not gonna lie, I have the same feeling all the time when I go to London. I've been telling people. So if I said, you know, Rashad, like, you know, you've done your thing. I want to give you everything that you want to go back and not come back to Ghana. Would you do it?
Everything what?
I can give you your biggest wish. I am that genie in the bottle, and you have one wish for it to be whatever it is, but on the condition that you must leave and go back to Ghana. Would you take this opportunity?
I would, because Ghana is just one country, and it's 54 countries.
Ooh, I like that.
and I lived here 3 years. I've been visiting for 7.
I like that.
And it's only the size of Oregon.
But so that means you would leave to go back to another African country, but you wouldn't go back to.
I mean, yeah, I could just go to another Africa. I could go to Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, South Sudan, Uganda, Rwanda.
I like this guy.
Gambia,
come on.
Senegal. I can learn French, go to Congo.
Where is next on your list?
I think maybe I might go back to East Africa and give East Africa a little more love.
East Africa has some space.
That was the plan before the pandemic. To really like, and I'm talking about like Uganda, Rwanda. Rwanda's a little slow. Let's put it that way.
Please, guys, this is a plug. Please check my playlist. I went to Rwanda. Go check out everything to do and all the beautiful things you could do in Rwanda.
No, I love Rwanda. I love Rwanda. I've been to Kigali and
yeah.
You know, I went to Snick, and I went to, you know.
Rashad, please. This is like supposed to be off camera, guys. It's off camera.
Did the mist? Oh, you like the mist? You like it's misty like the UK.
Yeah.
That's why you like Rwanda.
I don't know if I like the cold. I really don't. I'm not really a cold person. I'm more of a.
Pro tip: a lot of countries in Africa get cold. Like Kenya gets cold and rainy.
But that's like Rwanda on that side.
Yeah.
On the East African side. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, do you know what? We can sit here and we could be chopping it up for ages. I don't want to bore you guys. I know it's been a lit time.
Drew got sponsors, so I don't want to get her sponsors.
We definitely have had an insightful conversation, but Rashad, there are people that are maybe in the States and they want to have this new feeling. I mean, quickly though, if you move to another country, what happens to your chief stool?
One of the great things about my stool is that they gave me. I'm sorry, we didn't even say my stool. We didn't even say my stool. I've been named the first chief of tourism in all of Ghana. So my title is Insur.
In the whole of Ghana, guys. Yes. The chief of tourism in the whole of Ghana. That's
it's still by Itres, it's still by Elmina, but I'm the first person given the title chief of tourism in the country.
Okay.
Insur. So visit and see King. Visit and see King, chief of tourism.
Nice.
So the stool was given to me so I don't have to be stationed only in Itre and Elmina, that actually traveling, promoting travel and tourism. Even this interview, and as many times as I said Itre, talked about the location of Itre. Now people can find Itre. I talk about the historical significance of Elmina. I'm performing my in-stool duties.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so they hooked me up. So they said, Rashad, we want to give you a stool based on your qualities, your skills. If I was a carpenter, they could have gave me, you know, the building stool. You know what I mean? I don't know. you know, with stools are given out based upon the needs of the community.
Yeah.
You know, so a town with no tourist attractions may not have necessarily given me a chief of tourism, but I'm in Elmina.
You're in a good spot.
And I'm in the first time. I'm at the gate of Elmina coming from Accra.
I like that.
So,
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
So now all of the people that are literally from wherever they are in the world, maybe there's a little part of them that's thinking, should I? What would you say to them about moving to Ghana or visiting Ghana?
Definitely give it a visit. Ghana's the gateway. For many of us, it was the way that we left in the 1600s, 1700s. It was our way out. So it's only prophecy that it's the way in. You know, I have a whole talk about prophecy. So it's only prophecy that Ghana is the gateway and the leader on the way back in. So Ghana, I always think Ghana is, you know, as they've been saying, like I quoted, they always say Ghana is Africa for beginners.
Oh.
You know, things like, you know, to you know who, you get pickpocket here in Ghana, and that's a national story. In Nigeria, they might have, even Kenya, you know, respectfully to these countries.
Yeah.
You know, Ghana is known as the statistics say that Ghana is the second safest country in Africa.
Where's the first?
Mauritius. Forgive my pronunciations. Mauritius. Mauritius. I'm sorry, Mauritius. Delicious Mauritius. I don't know. Yeah, Mauritius.
Mauritius. Okay.
Is it Mauritius?
But maybe it might be Mauritius they're talking about. But Mauritius is definitely obviously a tourist attraction, so I get it. But wow, I like what you just said. Ghana is Africa for beginners. Yeah. That's the title, guys. I got it.
Ghana has been known as Africa for beginners for decades. For decades. If you start doing research, you know, about Ghana, you will see documents from, you know, the 80s and 90s calling Ghana Africa for beginners, because Ghana is safe, right of abode. You know, these things, the community, the country, everybody wants an American or a diasporan friend. Yeah. Everybody, you know, everybody's on the lookout, and not in a plotting and scheming, violent way. Now, people may be trying to get into your pocket, you know what I mean? But that's on you to use your street smarts. Don't leave your street smarts behind with this welcome home brother and sister stuff. At all. You know, I'm gonna be nice to your audience, Drew.
No, but you've been nice. You've been nice. So where can we follow you more on your journey? Like, even if they wanted to do a tour, if they wanted to get your book, all of that good stuff, where can we find you and get into contact with you?
Thank you, Drew. Thank you. Go to my website, AfricaCrossCulture.com. Africa Cross Culture, like culture, history, traditions, AfricaCrossCulture.com. And from there, you can find all my social media links. You can find Facebook, you find my TikTok, you find my Twitter. I don't tweet too much, but you find all those things on my website.
We love that.
And then Repatriation, Tips and Strategies for families and individuals moving to the African continent.
Get the book.
On Amazon.
Get the
380 pages a game.
There you go. I
pour it all out.
You can do it, and it's probably going to be much worth it as well.
Thank you for
guys.
your patience.
You know, it's your girl Mz Dru, your hostess of Moses. It's been lit. You already know it's been insightful. Why don't you actually right now like, subscribe, and comment. Share this video, and you know, if there is somebody that is out there that you feel like, Drew, I want to hear this person's story. Get me on my Instagram. Send me an email. Send me a message.